Hello. So I'm Paul Clarke, and I'm Associate Professor of Performance and Creative Technologies in theatre, which is in the School of Arts. I'm also co-director of the Centre for Creative Technologies and a co-investigator in the Centre for Socio-Digital Futures. My work tends to be with performance and technologies. I was involved in designing the new Immersive Arts MA, and I'm the program director of that. And I've become interested in how technologies can enable participation in performance, how technologies can enable collaborative authorship and co-creation. And that's led to me working in the design thread of the Centre for Socio-Digital Futures. And as part of that, I've been exploring creative approaches to participatory futuring. So that's how immersive technologies and performance can support people to do some imagining together, social dreaming, if you like, and enable communities to experience different possible future scenarios, especially preferable ones. So initially, the toolkit I'm going to talk about, Future Places Toolkit, that started out as a performance project, started out as an artwork called Millennium. And that was initially made for Millennium Square as part of the Layered Realities platform, which was a collaboration between Watershed and the PM Studio and the Smart Internet Lab, and they were testing the capabilities of their new 5G network, and they were working with artists and creatives to kind of push at the limits of what that new 5G network would make possible. So we made a piece called Millennium, and that was a guided tour of the future rather than the past. We're all quite used to historical guided tours. This was a guided tour of the future instead. We took you to the location of different site-specific science fiction stories. One of them utopian, one of them pretty dystopian, kind of drowned world. And you were guided to those places. As you listened to your guide describe those future scenarios, you would see animations appear around you. So you would hold up your device, which was a mobile phone on a selfie stick. These devices were devices that we described as enabling you to see into the future. When you hold up the device, you see animations of future architecture appear around you, overlaid onto the contemporary environment. And at the end of that performance, we took you to a location and invited you to imagine your own future for that place. And participants collaborated on kind of building a world together, imagining a future. And as they described that, they would see it drawn live, and it would appear in augmented reality overlaid onto the place. And it was being drawn live by an artist on a networked drawing app. And in fact, at the same time, you would also hear what your future would sound like. There was a sound designer with us who was conjuring up the future location sounds in response to what people described. So yeah, this was supporting people's imaginations. And as we kind of toured this, we took it to Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven, to Stripe Festival of Art and Technology, and then with some European funding, from Perform Europe, which is Creative Europe funding, we took it to, strangely, only cities beginning with B. So it went to Bilbao from Bristol, and then on to Budapest and Belgrade. And we imagined science fiction futures for those different places. But in each of those locations, people who came along, particularly people from the municipality, from councils who joined us, would say, "Oh, that this has real world applications." So they identified possible applications, particularly how it could be used in planning consultation. So that that led to me thinking about how this artwork, this creative approach, could be applied in planning processes. And admittedly, planning processes can be perceived as pretty dry and also complex, not necessarily very accessible. So, Future Places Toolkit is what we've developed, and the aim is to involve communities in more accessible, inclusive, and meaningful ways in consultation and decision-making processes around neighbourhood redevelopment. So the idea is that Future Places Toolkit, this augmented reality solution, is a solution to the problem faced by council planners, by regen teams and architects and their clients of engaging a wider range of people with planning consultation. And it does that in situ, in context, so that people can see plans, they can come up with ideas in the very place that's being redeveloped. And they can understand what those plans, what those changes would be like in context. So what we've developed is an augmented reality, an AR tool for use in public planning consultation and engagement. And it uses guided conversation, live virtual reality sketching, and AR viewed on mobile devices as it was in the performance. And using that, people see plans, their ideas, their needs for a development visualized immediately in 3D and overlaid onto the existing environment, as I said, in the place and context for which it's proposed. So rather than sort of paper-based toolkit or a guide that's sort of web-based for placemaking or creative consultation, what we've made is a set of software. And at the moment, this has become an AR planning consultation and engagement service, which is offered by me and by partners. So with the AR and VR studio Zuba, who are the developers we've been working with, and the theatre company that I work with, that I direct uninvited guests. And with AHRC IAA funding, we've tested this approach and validated it with Philwood Broadway Working Group and Bristol City Council in Knoll West. And there it was used to engage people with plans for improvements to their high street. And since then, we've also gone on to work with Bristol City Council again as part of their Temple Quarter engagement. And that's, well, that's a development you'll all know about, but it's one of the biggest redevelopment sites in the country at the moment. So in light of the success of engaging people using this augmented reality approach there in Temple Quarter, the Temple Quarter redevelopment team have commissioned us to run the AR activity again, and they're paying us £4,000 for that to run the activity. So that's our first kind of commercial commission with this engagement activity. And we're also part of a team that's led by Architecture 00, which submitted the successful tender to Bristol City Council for the Philwood Broadway High Street Development Plan. And that will use Future Places Toolkit for engagement, visualising improvements, and consulting local stakeholders and local residents and shopkeepers on possible scenarios. So we're now in a position where we're able to offer the AR engagement activity and to market it to councils and architects, and in fact to be a partner in design teams for regeneration projects. So that's where we're at. And we've also been receiving some really useful mentoring. Some of that's from Robin Halpenny around business development, but we've also been receiving mentoring, which I'd really recommend, from businesses and organisations working in the sector. So, for instance, from Make Good, who are architects who do creative engagement and planning consultation, from Architecture 00, who we're now working with as part of a design team from Architects Stride Triglawn and also from the council regeneration team. So they've been supporting us as we do sort of iterative testing with different stakeholders and different communities and different users to help us kind of understand the sector and competitors and how we can develop the offer and also address their needs. And the idea now is to scale up. So to scale up the service so that we can offer it to other councils, to other regen teams, to other architects and creative consultants. And at the moment, we're doing that locally within Bristol and within the region, but the aim is to also then expand so that we can offer it nationally. I guess one thing to say is that as well as being a sort of commercial venture, it is a social venture, and our hope is to disrupt planning processes, so to make consultation more accessible, more meaningful and impactful for communities, and to try and engage more representative people in shaping the future of their places. But one thing we've been finding, which I think is really positive, is that can be commercial. So whilst we have a kind of mission that we hope is kind of ethical and is about kind of change and inclusion and accessibility. So yeah, making some of these processes of decision making more meaningful, impactful, inclusive for communities. Actually, that is a service that people want and that councils and architects are looking for. So yeah, we're finding that it can be both commercial and social in its impact. So at the moment, we're trying to take the tool from being a kind of working prototype to being fully functioning software tool for this in situ architectural co-design and visualizing and discussing plans in context. We're trying to take it also from being an AR engagement activity that's a service. So we're trying to take it from being an AR engagement service, which Zuba and uninvited guests deliver ourselves, to being a software as a service offer that's then something that can be scaled up and marketable to architects, councils, creative consultants, enabling them to also deliver and use this set of software tools. And that should enable us to have more impact and, in fact, for the toolkit, for the set of software to be used nationally and internationally. So that's how we're kind of exploring scaling it up, is to think about that shift from it being a service that we offer, an augmented reality engagement service that we offer, to being a software as a service model, which others can deliver. And one of the things we're also thinking about is offering some training, so that we might offer training and guidance on how to facilitate and how to use this engagement tool in different contexts and with different communities. I guess the other thing we're thinking about, which is worth thinking about, is other sectors for which this software tool set might be useful. So we're thinking about how to make it flexible to enable horizontal scaling or scaling out. So how it might be used by other sectors that are in need of co-design tools and would particularly be interested in XR, or in this case, augmented reality co-design tools. And that might be event design or festival design or product prototyping. And so the other thing we really want to do at the moment, as we develop this software as a service model, is to do some business development. And that's the next stage for us also, is to think about the business case for this, and doing the market research, seeing who else is out there, analysing our competitors, and producing some strong promotional material that can differentiate Future Places Toolkit, so that we can market this offer and also make a case for it as a spin out. And that's the thing we're exploring also at the moment, is how we can work with Zuba, with uninvited guests, and with the university to establish a spin out for this offer, which we hope will also help with its sustainability and open up some further investment opportunities. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say. That's where we're at now. That's the stage we're at this point. And yeah, I hope this is useful for you and for other people trying to develop their own toolkits and think about where they might go. Yeah, so feel free to check out what we're working on. There's a link to a YouTube video where you can see Future Places Toolkit in action in a couple of different contexts. And there's also a link to the website if you want to read more about Future Places Toolkit. Thanks for listening.